Hey everyone, today we're going to be playing a Legacy Constructed League, but before we do that, let's talk about some changes to the Epic Storm, everyone's favorite deck. So, since the team open that I won, there's been some changes. I didn't really like 2 copies of Empty the Warrens. Despite winning the event, it was just not what the deck wanted. There was a bunch of matchups where having 2 empties hurt, and I found that I wasn't confident in my ad nauseums from 10 to 12 life, where typically I am. So, one of the first things we did was we moved the Bayou to the main deck, which actually happened during the team open. But from there, in this Cabal Ritual slot, I tested a Preordain and a Cabal Therapy, and I didn't like either of them. So, I was talking to someone and they recommended Cabal Ritual, and it seems to make a lot of sense to me. So the problem with Preordain is that it's a low impact, and it just doesn't do a whole lot. Cabal Therapy has a number of issues. In theory, it's great as an Infernal Tutor target for after you empty the Warrens, but those situations don't happen a whole lot, and on its own it's just rather weak, so we're trying Cabal Ritual. The reason I like Cabal Ritual is you can Burning Wish for Past in Flames, and then the next turn, Infernal Tutor, crack Lion's Eye Diamond, search up Cabal Ritual, and you have a very easy Past in Flames win. So, on top of that, Cabal Ritual acts as a pseudo 5th copy of Lion's Eye Diamond for games that go, to turn 3, turn 4. So you don't really want too many of them, but I can see 1 being the right number. You could probably try 2, but I don't know where you'd find room. You could cut the 4th copy of Chrome Mox, but then your 4 copies of Empty the Warrens and Ad Nauseam get worse. So I think 1's the right number for now. I've been loving the list. I haven't felt this confident in a list in a very long time. Despite that, my record hasn't been great so far. I think the Moto metagame is very aggressive against Storm at the moment, and that's part of it. But this is the first time since the banning I've liked all 75 cards in my list, and to me that means a lot. I've been playing a whole lot of lists where I didn't really like 1 slot here, then 1 slot there. I like every card in this list, so I could see myself playing this for the foreseeable future. So those were the changes to the main deck. In the sideboard, you'll notice that there's 3 copies of Xanid Swarm, 2 copies of Abrupt Decay, 2 copies of Echoing Truth, 0 copies of Chain of Vapor. So the Chain of Vapor was cut in order to make room for a 3rd Xanid Swarm. That's really good because there's Show and Tell everywhere. It's good against Miracles, and it's also good against decks like Infect that have been popping up. I also like it against Stoneblade, so it's seeing a lot of play. I played in a 5-round event yesterday, being Saturday, and I used Xanid Swarm 4 of the 5 rounds. So we're going to try signing up for a league here, and hopefully we do a little bit better than I've been doing the previous few days. Look at this gorgeous 1-3 record. Alright. I wasn't able to play in the Sunday challenge today. I had a lot going on this morning, but fortunately we have some time to record a league, so let's crush. While we're waiting for an opponent, you might notice that I've updated the OBS layout. I wasn't really super happy with what we've been using. It got kind of stale and was taking up a lot of room. Someone recommended to me that I try Streamlabs OBS, and here we are. We have our first opponent. Midnight S2000. I don't believe I've ever faced them before. I was talking to someone recently, and they said that they believe the amount of players with new screen names is due to Pro Tour testing. I don't know if I agree, but it's certainly interesting to think about. So we've lost the die roll, and our hand is a little clunky. I do like that it has the brainstorm to sort of fix things when we're on the draw, and against an unknown opponent, I'm willing to try this. Swamp. So a discard spell here, yep, on our brainstorm could hurt. They might be on Ant or TES or even some sort of control deck. They could be on a really bad deck like Pox. control decks generally don't play the basic swamp, so I don't think it's a control deck right now. Rite of Flame. The best card in this hand is definitely Brainstorm, so I don't agree with that. Alright, so we're just going to pass back. And I don't think I want to use the Brainstorm on their turn unless they play another discard spell. I'd rather wait until next turn and be a card deeper, because we're not going to win this turn anyway. Okay, there's a good chance we're playing the TES Mirror. Or Ant. Okay. I think our opponent just has it. Yeah, we're dead. Okay, I'm gonna concede to that, but before we do, I just want to see what our top three were. Ooh, rough. Okay. Alright, so we're down a game against Ant. And against Ant, I like boarding out the empty and bringing in Tendrils. So recently, with all the Flusterstorms that Ant players have been playing, I've actually considered boarding in Xanded. I don't think it's really necessary, though, because this is a speed-based matchup, and if you're not doing anything on turn 1, you're usually not doing that well off, and they could just play a discard spell. I could maybe see it against lists with like 3 Flusterstorm, but against 2, I think it's a little bit questionable. Not in love with the Tendrils. This is why we don't play the card in the main deck. It's essentially a mulligan every time you draw it, and it's not useful until you've already won the game. But I do think this hand is good even as a 6-card hand. I think we're supposed to take the duress here. The only card they can draw to kill us right now is I guess Ad Nauseam would do it, but Lion's Eye Diamond as well. So there's technically 5 cards in their deck that kill us. Leading off on Tropical Island is not likely yet. See if we can find another land. Oh, that's rough. We added a land and we still can't draw them. Unfortunately, we just have to pass. We're probably dead here. So, some of you at home may be wondering, like, hey, well, did you consider just casting the Thoughtseize and not casting Brainstorm? The issue with that is you're not advancing your game plan at all, and, like, in order to win this matchup, you really want, like, lands in play or to just kill them. But here, if you just cast Thoughtseize, you're essentially time-walking yourself. So, you're more likely to win the game if you hit your land drop and then Duress or Thoughtseize them, because that way you're at least moving forward. Cabal Therapy. If they name Brainstorm here, they're savants. Good thing we put Ritual on top. So next turn we're going to untap, we're going to draw Dark Ritual, and we're going to Brainstorm again. And then 2 unknown cards, we really need to hit a land. Try this again. Alright, Bayou is technically a land. It's not the land we wanted, though. So, I'm going to put... This is actually a tough decision. I think we should put Burning Wish and then Brainstorm on top. Because this will allow us to imprint the Tendrils and then play a second discard spell if we want. The downside is then we're priced into winning with Grape Shot. Alright, so we're going to imprint there, and then we're going to Thoughtseize, taking the Ritual. So at this point we pretty much have to win with Grape Shot, which sucks. We could also empty, but empty might not get there. We also need 2 red sources for empty at this point. Alright, so we know that their hand is Infernal Tutor and 1 unknown. I don't know if I like Infernal Tutoring, or searching up a Underground Sea there. It only makes sense. Oh wow, they didn't just Infernal Tutor for another Duress first. That's a mistake on their part. So they were supposed to Infernal Tutor first and then get a Duress, because now they're stuck with 2 Infernal Tutors in hand. So next turn we can fetch and then Burning Wish for Dark Petition, or even Past in Flames. What are they getting? Dark Ritual. Okay, so now they're representing lethal. Because next turn they could Ad Nauseam now. Did they just screw up again? This line doesn't do anything. Unless they're gonna Sadistic Sacrament us? Or Dark Confidant. Okay. That is ballsy. So, I think I like getting Past in Flames here a little bit more than Dark Petition. The reason is they're about to draw 2 cards a turn, and even if we get Petition, we don't have 2 more mana next turn to Ad Nauseam. So Past in Flames makes sense because they could discard our whatever card we just retrieved, and next turn we can't even use the Petition for what we want. So I'm going to pass. 5 off of Ad Nauseam. While that's cool, we could now just die if they draw a Cabal Ritual or a Dark Ritual. Alright, so we drew a Petal. We can value Past in Flames here, even though it's like kind of a feel bad. Okay, I think I want to start with the Brainstorm. Okay, that's interesting. Let's add 3 blue. And then with this we can add black. We haven't played a land yet. I wanted that Cabal Ritual, but I think we need to fetch. That was pretty good. Put these 2 on top. Now we can duress. So what we could do here is we could get Grape Shot, and then next turn we can Grape Shot the Confidant. Or we can get Petition. We have 2 rituals on top for the Past in Flames. I think we almost have to get Petition, or else we just like end up sitting around. Alright, we need him to not draw anything good. Island is okay. Alright, so this represents a red source for Past in Flames. trying to think of if we could do anything cool here. So we could get Cabal Ritual, and then we'll have 3 mana floating. We Cabal Ritual up to 6, and then we flash back Passing Flames going up to 7 down to 2, Ritual, or Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and then into Ad Nauseam. Does that generate any mana left over, though? I don't actually know off the top of my head. So we would have 2 floating. Dark Ritual would go up to 4. Cabal Ritual is +3, so up to 7. Dark Petition. It's actually the same amount of mana floating, but we end up burning our Passing Flame. So we're just going to Ad Nauseam now. We still have a land drop, too. Lotus Petal is a very good start. We need less discard spells. LED is good. Mox is great. Okay, we're going to stop here. I think we should have enough from here in order to Past and Flames win. So now we're going to search up another copy of Rite of Flame. This is a pretty interesting game. Infinite red mana. Alright, just because we can, we're going to Grape Shot their Confidant. Boom. Ah, he conceded just in time. Wouldn't let his Confidant die. Alright, that was pretty cool. Alright, so we're on the draw. Would we change anything going into the next game? We know our opponent has Dark Confidant. I still think Tendril should be in the main. We don't actually know if they play Surgical Extraction or not yet. I think this is fine. And this is a decent hand. 2 discard spells, a bunch of mana. What this hand really needs is business. He might just be dead. Nope. Okay. Ponder's a decent draw. I'm expecting a Brainstorm in response to this. Like, if our opponent doesn't do anything on turn 1, they either kept a hand that kills us on turn 2, or they have a Brainstorm. They might just kill us on turn 2 anyway. Flusterstorm. Alright, we're going to take this Lion's Head Diamond because it allows them to kill us next turn. It's a very aggressive fetch land, so it's either Dark Confidant or they're going to go Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor, and then realize that they can only make 4 mana. Okay, it's Dark Confidant. Come on, Tutor. Alright, so we're going to Thoughtseize them. Do we play to win next turn? Or, I guess this is where I should have pondered first. Because we knew what cards they had. And now we have to decide, do we play to win next turn? Or if they reveal like land ritual, or land tutor, we lose. They also have a brainstorm. I think we're supposed to take the Cabal because we have another Thoughtseize. All of these are good. Oh, they actually revealed an Infernal Tutor. I missed that. Alright, so we're going to try to Ritual here. If they Flusterstorm it, it's a little awkward, but it's the only way we can win this turn. Okay, they flustered. Alright, let's hope they don't kill us. We actually can't win next turn either, because we know that the top card of our deck is Burning Wish. Looks like we're dead. Okay, so we lost round 1. I don't think I did anything wrong. I think I have to test them for Dark Ritual right there, because if we just Thoughtseize them past, they likely kill us. We would have died on that turn anyway. So you almost have to idiot check them. It was a close match. We had a really cool game too. Alright, just waiting on an opponent. Finally. Benjamin 13. No clue. And we have lost the die roll. So this hand just doesn't do anything, so you kind of have to ship it. This is fine. So this is a trap. While Lion's Eye Diamond is obviously great, it doesn't do anything for this hand, so you have to bottom it. And it looks like we're facing lands. Okay. Not the tutor we wanted. So Burning Wish is actually like really bad against lands, because its only good target is Dark Petition, which they can make really bad with a crop rotation into Bojuka Bog. And they don't have a third land, which means they probably have a crop rotation. Ad Nauseam is a very good reveal. I shouldn't say reveal, card to draw into there. So you'll notice I put Lion's Eye Diamond back. That's because we're about to cast Ad Nauseam and I want to take 0 off of the first trigger rather than taking 1 or 2 for no reason. You could have mana floating, but you don't actually need to discard this Burning Wish. I think we probably already have it. We'll just stop there. I played in a 2K yesterday, and round 5 I ended up losing to lands to be eliminated from top 8 contention. And game 1 I kept a hand that I would keep again. It was Volcanic Island, Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor, maybe another Infernal Tutor, and then double LED. So if at any point in the first like 4 turns you draw Black Source, you just kill them. And instead I drew like another Infernal Tutor, Ad Nauseam, Burning Wish, and then on the final turn of the game I drew a Ponder, and I was just dead. So they don't know about this Burning Wish, so they might crop rotation in response. Yep. Tabernacle. Okay. Joke's on you. Okay, that was pretty easy. Alright, so empty is obviously pretty bad, so that can come out. We want Decays and we want Echoing Truth. Ponder is not great in this matchup, so we're going to board out down to 60. So this leaves us with 1 Ponder. Formerly, we would have a Chain of Vapor to bring in here, but we don't have that anymore because of the extra Xanad Swarm. So this is where we're going to leave the list. Part of the reason I think it's okay to cut the Chain of Vapor is we used to play it because of sphere effects being really hard on a deck with 13 lands. Well, now you're playing 14 lands, but you're also playing 4 copies of Chrome Mox, so you actually have 2 extra mana sources in your deck to help you cast Echoing Truth or Abrupt Decay through Thorn of Amethyst or Sphere Resistance, so you should probably be fine. I like this hand. If we draw Dark Ritual or Lion's Eye Diamond, we can win on turn 1. If they play a Hate Piece, we have Decay and Truth. We just need to draw more lands. Is this going to be a Chalice for 0? Ooh, they discarded the sphere they gambled for. Rough. Burning Wish was not the draw we wanted. Alright, I'm going to imprint this Echoing Truth and cast Brainstorm. Those were good draws. Alright, so we don't want the Burning Wish. I don't think we actually want the Decay either, because we have the Thoughtseize. So I'm going to search up Basic Swamp here and then Thoughtseize. Ancient Grudge. I guess it's fine. So, in hindsight, I think I should have taken Loam. So, the benefits of taking Loam there is that our opponent doesn't actually draw for turn, and that they'll likely dredge. And dredging means that they don't have a sphere resistance that they could possibly draw. Really hoping I don't screw this up right now. Holding control. Alright, it's the correct one on this computer. I get very nervous about that stuff. I'd rather have blue open. Alright, we'll stop there, I guess. What's funny here is if our opponent grudges, we can just bounce our own Lion's Eye Diamond. It doesn't really do anything, but it's just kind of cute. And we won. Cool. Trying to get better about updating my record as I go. Traditionally, I've been very bad at it. So far, we face Storm, being Ant, and Lands. Our Storm mirror was pretty interesting. It was a close match. We just didn't happen to get there. Lands was a little bit of a blowout. We drew fairly well. Obama RJ. So many names. I think part of it is it's not all pros that are testing for the Pro Tour. It's also just people willing to play Legacy due to Deathray Shaman being gone. So it's some of A and some of B, I think. This hand is pretty gross. So you have to imprint a card on Chrome Mox in order to ponder. The question is this is essentially becomes like a basic island. Is this better than your average 6? I think I'd rather try 6 just because of Rite of Flame and Bayou. Yeah, I like this more. Bottom that. Souffle. Elves? Elves. Alright, we need to draw Infernal Tutor. Rite of Flame and Burning Wish are not great in this matchup. Pretty good draw. So, because we played Island turn 1, we actually have to pass here. So we just need to not die on turn 2 against Elves. Opponent does not play quickly. So the good thing is that our opponent attacked, so we know we're not dying this turn. And we'll fetch on our upkeep. This just makes sure that we draw one less land. Or, that's not exactly what it does, but the probability of drawing a land is less. Let's spin that ad nauseum wheel. I generally like to float a red mana with ad nauseum, and that's because you actually need to cast a red spell in order to win the game, and that's Burning Wish. So your other red spell being Empty the Warrens, its main deck. So you need a red spell in order to win. But also, your deck has so many black cards that you're willing to imprint on a Chrome Mox, and you don't really have red cards that you want to imprint other than Empty. So you'll see here, we're just going to imprint this Thoughtseize. And that's how we do. Alright, so empty can come out here, and I will bring in tendrils. Basically, you just want to play around surgical extraction, and if you leave empty in the main, that means that you have to win with empty against the deck with Crater Hoof Behemoth in case your Burning Wishes get hit by surgical extraction. So, just small hedges, they end up mattering. Like, the percentage of games they matter is very few, but there's no reason to not take those precautions because over time you will get an extra win out of that. And that's the thing that I concentrate a lot about, is just small opportunities to gain slight advantages. Over time, your win percentage does go up, and you might think like that doesn't really matter, but if you do every small little thing right, and it's not just this one thing, but everything right, so like fetching the right lands, planning for the future, like those sort of things, you end up getting an extra win per tournament, and like those are the sort of things that really add up in my opinion. Once again, we've opened up a hand that is unplayable, so we will be going to 6. A little slow, but I think it's probably better than your average 5. We'll bottom that. So that tells me that they might have Mindbreak Trap in hand. I want the land, but not those two, so I'm going to shuffle. If they play Cabal Therapy here, I'd probably concede. There's a Duress, so we need to hit a fetch land here. Alright, so... We actually need every card in this hand, other than the Red of Flame. Alright, so... I'm going to put Brainstorm on top, just in case of Surgical. We don't need the Infernal Tutor unless it's for a shuffle effect. But if next turn we Brainstorm into a red source, we can just win anyway. So I think I'd rather keep the Tendrils as a avenue for winning. And imprint that. So it's either Mindbreak Trap or Natural Order. It's one of the two. So it's Mindbreak Trap. Alright. So they tap for a minute there, natural order, untap. Think we're dead? So it gives all of their creatures +3/+3. So the Sentinels are 10/10s, and then we take 8. So we actually go down to 2, so we're not dead, but we're pretty much dead. Because it shuts off Ad Nauseam as an avenue for winning. Okay, so they had both Natural Order and Mind Break. I mean, it happens. It's part of playing Magic. There's no reason to be upset. And we would have found the red source, so it's just interesting to see. Okay. Also, words cannot describe how much I hate drawing Tendrils of Agony. The card sucks. So many Ant players bash Chromox, like, oh, it's this terrible draw. But they, like, fail to realize that, like, Tendrils of Agony is miserable. Like, I'd rather draw Chromox most of the time than Tendrils. This is a very good hand. Okay, so we have two options here. We can go all in and run our head into Mind Break, or we can Thoughtseize them on turn 1, and if they don't have a Mind Break but have like 2 discard spells, or they have Mind Break plus Thoughtseize, we're in really bad shape. I think it's probably best to just Thoughtseize them because they kept a 7, which probably means they have it. Alright, so we could have gone for it there, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So, like, how we get punished here is if they draw a Thoughtseize this turn or a Mind Break this turn. That's rough. We have like all 3 cards in our hand that they would name. Come on, name Burning Wish. That sucks. Alright, we'll just draw another one. No big deal. I still think it was correct to play around Mind Break regardless. Wow. Alright then. I'm a very skilled wizard. I imagine the pause on the Dark Ritual there was my opponent saying, like, are you fucking kidding me? Wow. Okay, so the Tendrils is in our deck, so like these Burning Wishes actually aren't very good. Okay, so we'll stop there. And we'll play out this Volcanic Island, and let's Brainstorm. So Ponder can't find any sequence of cards that wins, but we could possibly draw into 2 that win with the Brainstorm. These 3 are not things that win, but you never know. So we'll put 2 copies of Burning Wish on top. And now our opponent's pretty much like priced into next turn Cabal Therapying us. Green Sun for 1. They opted not to flashback therapy, which is super questionable. I think they're just hoping that we can't win this turn. So if we get past In Flames, we'll have 2 mana open. We should be able to win with Past In Flames. So now we just start Petition for Tendrils. No need to get Hellbent. Lucky, lucky, lucky. I guess we were lucky in the fact that we drew Infernal Tutor, but we were unlucky in the fact that our Ad Nauseam sucked. So, you win some, you lose some. We could have just jammed on turn 1 and lost the Maverick trap, but our opponent didn't have it regardless. I faced this person before. I can't think what they play though. They've mulliganed and we did not win the die roll. So I'm actually going to look up what they play. That takes up too much work. I'm not going to do it. I think we should keep. I'd probably look up what they play if I had my old sheet open, but I have a new sheet for the new format, and I just don't want to have to open up the old sheet. Forest. Alright, let's see if it's 4-card Loam or Elves. Maverick. Alright, so we're going to get our land wastelanded here, which kind of sucks. Lotus Petal, does that do anything? Not really. And our opponent can't draw or play a Thalia. Well, I guess if they drew a color source this turn and then Thalia next turn, that could shut us off. But I think I want to wait a turn. Like, one more resource could end up mattering a lot. Maverick. Okay, so they have not drawn lands. Alright, I'm going to burn this and cast Brainstorm. And they should be dead. Put back those two. So this is where Cabal Ritual is going to be great. So it's basically a Lion's Eye Diamond here. So that brings us up to 6 cards in graveyard. So we're going to sacrifice this petal before we cast it. So that gives us the threshold we needed. And we can actually just Burning Wish Tendrils here. We don't even need to cast Ad Nauseam. This is generally a matchup where I would have liked to know what our opponent was playing as well. Because I think... No, we were mana short on turn 1, so that didn't actually end up mattering. Alright though, so we get to put out Dress here. And we'll bring in Decays and Echoing Truth. Bring out one of those. So I don't like the empty plan as much against Maverick. I just feel like they're a little bit better against empty. And depending on their splash, they could have Zealous Persecution or whatever. So I don't like boarding those in more. And they also sometimes play Thoughtseize, so like in general, I just like Ponder a little bit more than boarding up on a ton of empties. Our opponent's kept 7. So the nice thing is that we have a Thoughtseize for a Thalia. We don't have a blue source yet. I think this is a risk-reward hand. I think I'm okay with keeping it because we have 2 draw steps in order to hit a blue source. Bop. Alright, draw step 1 failed. Alright. So if they draw land, they can Greenstone for Teague. Blue source. Not bad. I want all of these. Alright, so because they have a surgical, I'm going to draw the tutor instead of leaving it on top. So our opponent has 2 unknown cards. One unknown card. Alright, so this is probably a Gaddock Teague. Yep. Alright, that's fine. We have the Echoing Truth. I think I want to try to find a land here. We know that we have a Chromox on top. That was a very good brainstorm. Alright, so we can put back Brainstorm and Cabal Ritual. No. This is definitely going back. I think the next weakest card is probably the Rite of Flame. Alright, so we're going to Echoing Truth on the end step. So I'm keeping the Brainstorm over the Rite of Flame here, just in case they happen to have a discard spell. And 1 extra mana from Rite of Flame is not going to be the difference maker in this game. Sure. I feel like that card probably should have been boarded out, unless they're like trying to waste lock you. Okay, we're going to start off with the Brainstorm. Alright, we're going to put back the land. We're probably going to reveal land ad nauseam anyway. I was trying to decide if they could take us off of Threshold with the Surgical, but I didn't consider that Brainstorm was on the stack, so even if they want a Surgical, there's not enough there. Oh, they could actually hit Brainstorm and do 2. That was dumb. I should have taken the land. Well, actually, so if they Surgical, that's 2 life and a Storm. So I think now I can just Tutor Chain. So they can fetch and then pay 2 life and Swords too. Yeah, I think they're just dead to a Burning Wish Chain now. Well, yes, I would like a 3rd copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Thank you. Alright, let's see if we can rattle off the 0-1 into 4-1. So far we've faced Storm being Ant, Lands, Elves, and Maverick. So round 5, let's do it. Let's rattle off a 4-1. Come on. Subi, no clue. Do not know what they play. But this hand is great, our deck is great, and we're going to win. We did not win the die roll, though. That is a true fact. They have mulliganed. I think I want to ponder here. I have a feeling that they're on Sneak Show. Yeah, they're definitely on Sneak and Show. Like, Miracle's just, like, doesn't main phase a Brainstorm. Alright, so we're going to start off with a Thoughtseize here. Oh, well, they are not on Sneak and Show. Alright. 10 Goblins versus a True Name. Who wins? That's good. So they didn't have any good cards on top of their deck. So what our opponent wants to do right now is draw a Stoneforge Mystic. But they did not. So we're facing some sort of Stoneblade variant. And we will not Thoughtseize them. Alright. So what we could do there is Burning Wish Grape Shot for 3, but it's better to hold the Burning Wish for a turn because you can still do that next turn in order to kill them. But also, if they, like, for some reason draw, like, Land Supreme Verdict, you have an out now for winning the game. This Windswept Teeth tells me that they're on a straight blue-white list, like they're not splashing a third color. I meant to actually crack that for black and was going to undo. Alright, so we're boarding in our Xanids, and we're also going to board in Abrupt Decay just in case they have a Canonist. So, how I've been boarding recently is I've been taking out Red of Flames in these matchups just because they're relatively low impact. They're usually not what decides a game. And I'd rather have 4 copies of Chromox in my deck to support Ad Nauseam and Empty. And I'm willing to take out a Burning Wish just because it's tough because you want it for Massacre for Canonist, but Empty isn't really great in the matchup despite just winning with it because of Stoneforge. It's either taking out that or the Cabal Ritual, and I like Cabal Ritual a little bit more because we're taking out these. So I'm going to shave a Burning Wish. So this leaves the most possible business in your deck while still having fast draws that are explosive with all of your Moxes and your Dark Rituals. Like, Rite of Flame is a little bit of a filler card, and I think that this sideboard plan just leaves your deck a lot more compact game too. Like, it leaves the scare game of being fast, but you also have a better late game. I think we've probably been boarding wrong for a little while, and I'm a big fan of this new plan. Our opponents mulled the 5. It's a pretty good draw. It works well with the Ponder Brainstorm. Yes, please. Just in case of surgical, I'd prefer to have Infernal Tutor over the Thoughtseize, so that's why I stacked it like that. Alright, let's see if this resolves. Click and Jace. Our opponent is the kids say dead AF. For those of you that couldn't tell, that was a fucking joke. Alright, hold control. Black, red. Alright, so because we left all black rituals in our deck, I'm going to leave a black mana floating. I think we're more likely to win with Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor, LED. Alright, so we've already revealed the empty. We cannot die if we reveal another. Alright, we'll stop at 1 life. And the tendrils is in the sideboard, so now we just have to go retrieve it. That's pretty cool. So we started out 0-1 against Ant, and then we've rattled back 4 straight wins in a row to finish this league being 4-1. I've been a pretty big fan of this. I forgot to mention earlier, but I've been calling this list version 4.9. It has 3 copies of Xanded Swarm. It has a Singleton Cabal Ritual in the main deck. 2 copies of Abrupt Decay, no Chain of Vapor. Massacre's back. It's been back for a little while now. I talked about it before, but without Gitaxian Probe, you end up needing to have an out against Death and Taxes, which is now the second most popular deck in the format. So with Probe, you got to see their hand, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to ponder into something that kills them on turn 2. Or you'd be like, oh, well, I guess I need to play a discard spell here. Where now, you don't have that free information to guide you, so I've lost some percentage points against Death and Taxes. Massacre is here to make sure you don't get locked out before you can play the game. So Cabal Ritual has been great. This is the first time I've liked my entire 75 in a very long time. 3 Xandeds has been amazing. We only used them once in this league, but I think that was not typical. We faced a lot of non-blue decks. So this has been version 4.9. I hope you enjoyed the video. Test this out. This list is great, despite my win percentage being a little low right now. I think that's small sample size due to some variance. I really like this list. I could see myself playing this in Richmond later on next month. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care.